Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Firda Maulani Fitri. My number is 69. I'm from class 5B morning. I want to explain about teaching materials in the types of teaching materials. First of all, we have to go know what the teaching material is. Teaching material is a set of tools of learning tools that contains learning materials, method limitation, and methods evaluation, which is designed systematically in order to achieve the desired learning objective XPage, namely achieving competency of sharp competence with all its complexity. Furthermore, it is explained about the types of teaching materials. There are two types of teaching materials, namely print teaching materials and non-print teaching materials. Okay, the first is print. Teaching materials, print materials can be displayed in a variety or forms. If print teaching materials are structured properly, the teaching materials will bring several advantages such as put forward by Stephen Peter Besses. Namely, the first is writing material usually display a table of contents, making it easier for a teacher to show students which part is being studied. The second is the cost per procurement is relatively small. The third is writing. We recognize various types of print teaching materials, including handouts, books, modules, poster, brochure, and leaflets. The first is handouts. Handouts are everything that is given to students when they take part learning activities. Then there are also those who interpret handouts as material writing prepared to enrich the knowledge of students. The second is books. Books are written materials that present the knowledge of ideas of an author. By author, the contents of books are obtained in various ways. For example, research results and result of observation. Actualization of experience, autobiography, or the results of someone's imagination who called fiction. A good book is a book written in good language and easy to understand, presented in an attractive manner equipped with pictures and description. The book is compiled using simple, interesting language equipped with pictures, information, book contents, and bibliography. Books will be very helpful for teachers and students in exploring scenes according to their respective subject. In general, book divided in four types. The first is source books, namely books that can be used as reference and source for a particular scientific. Usually contains a complete scientific study. The second is reading book, namely book that only function for reading material, for example, stories, legend, novels, and so on. Third, handbook. Handbook, which is a book that can be used as a guide for teacher or instructors in teaching and learning carry out the teaching process. Fourth, textbooks, namely books that are prepared for the learning process and contain materials or learning materials to be taught. Okay, the third is module. Modules are teaching materials written with the aim that students can learn independently without or with teacher guidance. Therefore, the module must contain instruction learning, competencies to be achieved, content of subject matter, supporting information, practice question, work instruction, evaluation, and feedback on evaluation. By giving the module, students can learn independently without having to be assisted by a teacher with illustration. The fourth, students' worksheets or LKAs are teaching materials that have been packaged in such a way to such that students are expected to be able to teach the material independently. In LKAs, students will get material summaries and assignment related to the material. In addition, students can also find structured direction to understand the given materials at the same time are given materials and assignment related to the materials. Okay, the fifth is textbooks. Textbooks are learning tools that can be used in schools and colleges to support a program of modern and general teaching and understand the understood. Okay, next, textbooks. Textbooks can also be defined as textbooks in a particular field of study, which is a standard book compiled by experts in fields for the purpose and instructional objective, complemented by suitable teaching tools and easily understood by users in schools and colleges so that they can support a teaching program. Okay, next, leaflet. A spare part sheets of print matter often fold but not stitched or Webb's New Word. Leaflets are writing print materials in the form of fold sheets but not torn off stitch. To make it look attractive, leaflets are usually carefully designed and equipped with illustration and use simple, concise, and easy to understand language. Leaflets as teaching materials must also contain materials that can lead students to master one or more key D. Next, wall card. Wall cards are printed material usually in the form of a circle or process chart of meaningful graph indicates a certain position so that the wall card looks more attractive to students and teachers than the wall card is designed using good color and proportion settings. Wall cards are usually include the category of teaching aids, but in this case, they are designed as teaching materials. Next, photos. Picture or photos. Pictures have a better meaning than writing. Picture as a teaching material. Of course, a good design is needed so that after viewing one or a series of photos or pictures, students can do something that in the end master one or more. This teaching material, in using it, must be assisted by written material. Theory written instruction can be in the form of instruction on how to use them and or test materials. A meaningful image has at least the following criteria. The first is the image must contain something that can be seen and is full of information or data. So, that the picture is not just an image that has no meaning or does not exist, which can be learned. The second, pictures are meaningful and understandable. Does the image reader really understand? No misunderstanding. The third is complete. Rational to use in the learning process. The material is taken from correct source. So don't let the poor image of the information result in the user doesn't learn anything. Okay, B. Types of non-print teaching materials. Non-print teaching materials include listening teaching materials or audio, such as cassette, radio, disc blacks, and audio compact disc. Hearing teaching materials or audiovisual, such as video compact disc and movie. Interactive multimedia teaching materials or interactive teaching materials, such as computer-assisted instruction, interactive learning multimedia compact disc or CD, and web-based learning materials. The first is audio teaching materials, namely teaching materials that use the sense of hearing that is captured in the form of sound. Audio teaching materials is also one of materials non-print teaching which contains a system that uses signals live audio which can be played or listened to by educators students to help them master certain competency. The second is audio-visual teaching materials, namely teaching materials that can be captured by the sense, hearing, and sight. Hearing teaching materials are teaching materials which combines two materials, namely visual and auditive. The auditive material is addressed to stimulate that sense of hearing, while the visual to stimulate that sense vision. With a combination of the two, educators can create a process higher quality learning. The third is interactive multimedia teaching materials or interactive teaching materials. Interactive teaching materials is teaching materials that combine several learning media like audio, video, text, or graphics that are interactive to control a command or the natural behavior of a presentation. Interactive teaching materials make it possible a two-way relationship between teaching materials and their users, so that the students will encourage to be more active. Teaching materials that are not designed but can be used for learning. For example, clippings, newspapers, moving, advertisement, or news. The first, clipping. Clipping is an activity of cutting certain part of a book, newspaper, magazines, or other that then continue with the process of pasting the cutouts on a media template such as books, cardboard. The purpose of clipping is to gather information in certain dams that come from various sources that present them to certain interests. The second is newspaper. Newspaper is a type of mass media that reports on daily events in human life. Newspapers are usually intended as a commercial activity of the publisher of the newspaper concern. Writings in a newspaper produced by new writers. The use of newspaper in teaching materials for utilizing news or information. Search and collecting into books. The third is film. Film is an audiovisual communication medium to convey a message to a group of people gathered in a certain place. Film message in mass communication can take any form depending on the film's mission. However, generally a film can include a variety of messages, be it educational message, entertainment, and information. The message in the movie is to use mechanisms of symbols that exist in the human mind. The form of message content, sounds, words, conversation, and so on. Four is advertisement or claim news in information who contents persuade large audience or people. Many people are attracted to the goods or service offered. Think about advertisement, presentation, or non-personal information about a product, brand, company, or store carried out with certain cost compensation. Therefore, advertising is a process communication that has the purpose of persuading or attracting people to take action in favor or the party creating the advertisement. Maybe this is for my discussion in this video. Thank you for your watching and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.